try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth, but I'll be alright as long as I can find the groove. Yes, I will. Yeah. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back in style again.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit the TavisSmileyShow.com. That's the TavisSmileyShow.com or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, on this date in 1895, Booker T. Washington delivered his renowned Atlanta Compromise speech, also referred to as the Atlanta Exposition speech. As the founder and president of what we now call Tuskegee University, Washington was the first Negro to address a racially diverse Southern audience at a major gathering. In Hour 2, a conversation with the great-granddaughter of Booker T. Washington, Dr. Sarah Washington O'Neal Rush, about her remarkable family history and her unique work in character education. In our third hour.
Tripping, man. And I was tripping off this the other day, too, because, black folks don't never be no part of a mass murder. That ain't our thing, to get killed with a lot of other people, and reason is because we learn how to run. We run, we talk a good game. But when everybody started running, bruh gonna run. Bruh ain't. If somebody got up in this room right now and took off running, about 9 people be like, see, cause we run, dog. We don't ask no questions while we running. We don't need to know the reason we running. It ain't, obviously that ain't none of our business what's going on back there. So once we stop running, I will ask somebody what we was running about. See, that white folk need to know, don't they? Jesus, what's going on back here? Jesus. Oh, Jiminy, gosh darn it! Jesus Christ! Why didn't anybody tell me? You saw us running. That one thing about us, we would take off running. You don't have to make no announcement. Nobody get up, yell, hey, dog, we gonna run. Nope. You be in the middle of conversation, let somebody run, you'll break out. Maybe, yeah, so Keith, Damn, dog, you scared me, man. I thought somebody was coming.
One of the kings of comedy, Cedric the Entertainer, joins us in Hour 3 for a career conversation and to discuss the first novel from one of the kings of comedy. It's called Flipping Boxcars, a novel. Cedric the Entertainer joins us live in Hour 3. In this first hour today, 2 more conversations. On the B side of this hour, a conversation about the impact of AI in the financial sector with the CEO of Lendistry, Everett Sands, where we commence today talking politics with political analyst, writer, Democratic strategist, and host of #WokeAF Daily, Danielle Moody. Danielle, how are you today?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing the best I can. If I complain, I'd be an ingrate, and I'm delighted to have you back on the program. So much to talk about in the world of politics these days. Let me start with this. Donald Trump, of course, a big interview over the weekend on Meet the Press. Kristen Welker's first day as the replacement for Chuck Todd. A number of things came out of that I want to take your temperature on. Let me start with this. He acknowledged in this conversation that despite receiving counsel from multiple people, that in the 2020 election, he knew it was stolen. He pushed away anyway with false claims to try and to overturn these results. He said, and I quote, "It was my decision, but I listened to some people," close quote. And I don't get this. For the life of me, he keeps doing these interviews and keeps saying things that are going to ostensibly hurt him in 1, 2, 3, 4, all of these cases, and yet he continues unabated. But to suggest or to say, essentially, in this conversation that he knew that the 2020 election was not stolen, he had listened to other people but pushed ahead with his decision anyway. How did you read that particular comment, that acknowledgement by former President Donald Trump?
You know, it's Tavis. It's like the movie, A Few Good Men, when Jack Nicholson is being, questioned by Tom Cruise, and he says, "I ordered the code red." Mm-hmm. Donald Trump knows exactly what it is that he's doing and what he's saying, because his attorneys are arguing that it was his freedom of speech, right? That he had the ability to, go into the courts and say that the election was stolen, that it was his, it was his freedom to speak that way at the rally when he directed the people to, go take their country back and to, take over the Capitol building. And so Donald Trump says every part out loud. I don't think that this is anything new, that, for instance, prosecutors are like, "Oh, we gotcha," because they got him already, right? Like they got him already. They have defendants that are ready to testify to say that, no, he knew, but he did not care. Yeah. And so at this point, we're playing a race against time in terms of when that trial or any of the four, right, that we're waiting on will take place in the next year.
Yep. He added, and I quote, "You know who I listened to? Myself. I saw what happened. I was listening to different people, and when I added it all up, the election was rigged." So out of one side of his mouth, he says it was rigged. He listened to himself, and he pushed forward. But he acknowledges that there were others in his administration, in his ear, in his face, telling him that the election was not stolen. He pressed ahead anyway. I digress for the moment. A great deal more out of this conversation and other political news we'll get to when we come forward with Danielle Moody on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Escalade IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfection like Zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat intellect since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Come with 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You hear me? You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Feel it, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bustin', truckin'. Cadillac, Cadillac, Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range on a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection consistent with the CHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Everything that I've done, praise God for.
Extended Family Outreach Ministry presents Praise Fest 2023, Worthy to be Praised Conference and Concert, September 23rd, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. Morning worship, keynote address, and conference featuring women in creative arts ministry and leadership sharing our stories, His glory, giving all praise, honor, thanksgiving, and glory to God. Don't miss the afternoon stand-up and sing praises concert with the Katinas, gospel singer Babby Mason, Three Daughters, and Kevin Click. That's Praise Fest 2023, Worthy to be Praised Conference and Concert, September 23rd, Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. For more information and tickets, go to PraiseFest 2023 at Eventbrite.com. Plus, for the next 48 hours, use promo code KBLA48 to get your tickets free. You do not want to miss this day of praise. That's PraiseFest 2023 at Eventbrite.com.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
I am Tavis Smiley. Our guest is Danielle Moody, the host of hashtag Woke AF Daily. Delighted to have her on this first half hour talking some politics. Specifically, we started, in case you've just tuned in, talking about the big interview that Donald Trump gave this weekend to NBC's Meet the Press. Kristen Welker is now taking over for Chuck Todd. And fascinating conversation that we all saw yesterday, in which Donald Trump acknowledges he was told that the 2020 election was not, in fact, stolen in this wide-ranging conversation. He was told that by Mike Pence. He was told that by the Director of National Intelligence. He was told that by senior members of the Justice Department. He was told that by people at the Homeland Security Department. He was told that by his own staffers, state lawmakers, and other state and federal courts. He had all the evidence that he needed to let him know that the election was not, in fact, stolen. But he said, and I quote, "You know who I listened to? Myself. I saw what happened. I was listening to different people, but when I added it all up, the election was rigged." Those are Donald Trump's words, and so he pushed forward anyway. I raise this for a number of reasons, not the least of which is this goes to the heart, Danielle, of what is being alleged by Jack Smith and his team, that the defendant disseminated these lies anyway. The defendant, of course, being Donald Trump. I'm quoting now from Jack Smith from their filing. The defendant disseminated them anyway, them being lies, to make his knowingly false claims appear legitimate, create an intense atmosphere of mistrust and anger, and erode public faith in the administration of the election. That's what those are the words from the indictment brought, of course, by Jack Smith. So you hear what the indictment says, you hear what Trump says yesterday. Those things cannot coexist, Danielle.
No, they can't. And I think, sometimes we forget people lost their lives on January 6, 2021, based on Donald Trump's lies. Right? Like, Donald Trump's lies are not just something that we should shrug off and laugh at and say, oh, well, look, where he's a circus, he brings a circus wherever he goes. No, there were people that armed themselves, that beat police officers, that killed one of them, right? All hyped up on Donald Trump's lies. And right now you have an entire Republican Party that has disregarded, shredded, and put down into the sewer our Constitution of these United States, all based on Donald Trump's lie. There were 140 some odd Republicans in the House that after the insurrection happened, voted against the certification of that election, an election where their names were on the ballot. And they won.
Yeah. Nope.
It is, we are in this place, Tavis, of just absolute chaos with our democracy backsliding and hanging on by a thread based on something Donald Trump knew was a lie but did not care.
Mm-hmm. I think that the Biden administration has got to figure out a way to frame this election, assuming that Donald Trump is their presumptive Republican nominee. And I don't know anybody who doesn't think he's going to be the presumptive Republican nominee, or isn't already for that matter. But they've got to get their message together. And we're stuck with the messenger that we have. Joe Biden is the messenger, but the question is, what is the message going to be? And there are a number of things I'm always, noodling to myself if I were being asked by them how they ought to frame this campaign, this re-election bid. And there are a number of lines that they could use. But one of them is you just put your finger on. I've written to myself a number of times in my own notes. A simple line: when Donald Trump lied, people died. When Donald Trump lied, people died. when you use a phrase like that and use it repeatedly, and you put a laser, you focus a spotlight on humanity, that this guy lied and people died. It's not just the lying now. That lying had consequences. So I hope that the Biden administration, whether they use my line or some other, that they'll find a way to draw attention to this and just put it in more stark terms for people, everyday people, to understand that when Donald Trump lied, people died. So you and I are in agreement on that point, and I hope that the Biden campaign will be smart enough to figure that out. Let me ask you how you read Trump saying that he supports mental competency tests for presidency amid concerns over age. Everybody's talking about Biden's age, and Trump ain't no spring chicken himself. But he's gone on record saying he supports mental competency tests for those seeking the presidency amid all of these concerns about people's age. How do you read that assessment? How do you read that statement, rather, from him?
I mean, I read it as everything else that comes out of his mouth, a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear Donald Trump recently not remembering who he ran against in 2016 and wanting to invoke Obama's name? Right? Did you hear him talking about the fact that if we don't get a hold of the Biden administration, then we're going to have World War II? Right? Like, we talk about this competency as it relates to age. When Donald Trump is 3 years younger than Joe Biden, have we ever seen Donald Trump on a bicycle? Have we seen him, do any type of exercise, take any type of care of himself in any which way? So I would take an 80-year-old Biden who is healthy, right, than a man that lies about his weight and height to make himself feel better, right, and who is caught multiple times stumbling over his words and not really being sure of what he's talking about, and no one bringing that up.
Yeah. Speaking of Biden, this thing is getting really, really interesting and strange and bizarre, I might also add, regarding his son, Hunter Biden. So the news this morning is that Hunter Biden has now sued the IRS for allegedly releasing his confidential tax information. So the son of the president, is suing these two agents who testified before Congress as federal whistleblowers who said they were hindered during their 5-year investigation of Hunter Biden. And in the process of testifying, he argues, his lawyers argue, Hunter Biden's lawyers argue, that some of his confidential tax info was released publicly. So now he is suing the IRS. So this is strange. He had a deal. That deal fell apart back in July. We will see what happens in the coming days, but now he has turned around and sued the government, again, specifically the IRS. This is getting more and more bizarre, say nothing of the fact that the House now is going to move forward with an impeachment inquiry. So this Hunter Biden thing that many people thought was much ado about nothing, this Hunter Biden thing that people thought had been put to bed when this plea deal was reached, is now imploding. And I'm not sure where this thing ends, but how are you processing the Hunter Biden drama?
I process it like this. Hunter Biden is not an elected official. He is not running for president of the United States. He's not running for Congress. He's not running for city council. He's not running for school board. He is running for absolutely nothing. Whatever type of mischief and issues that Hunter Biden has played out in the public eye for no other reason than he is the son of the president of the United States. If this had been anybody else, would they be in jail? Probably not. Are they trying to chump up charges to make it look like both sides are being investigated? It's been 5 years, Tavis. And if you really had the goods, if you really had, the stuff, it would have presented itself by now. So they want to indict Hunter Biden on gun charges that were thrown out of other courts because of their violation of the Second Amendment. Go with God. But at the end of the day, Hunter Biden is not running for office, right? So anything that he has done or will do has no bearing on this president. So like Joe Biden said the other day, they want to investigate me? Good luck.
Yeah. And yet, this has not stopped the House, as I mentioned a moment ago, we all know, from pushing forward with an impeachment inquiry that we expect to be in the offing in the not-too-distant future. It hasn't stopped that. And Kevin McCarthy has, been sort of whiplashed by his right flank. So the president says, bring it on, and yet the White House has they've shown concern about this. They've lawyered up. They're not taking this lightly. So the president says one thing, but they're not ignoring this either. Danielle.
No, and they shouldn't ignore it, right? Because I wouldn't trust these Republicans as far as I can throw them. They are people that are willing to fire their secretaries of state, that are willing to fire duly elected judges, that are willing to remove district attorneys, that are willing to bend the will of the law and the will of the people in order to make their end. And so, no, you should lawyer up. You should absolutely take them at their word, because they are willing to do anything and everything in order to hold on to power. But we have to understand, too, that Kevin McCarthy is nothing more than a Fisher-Price Speaker of the House. He's not running things. He is being run. Nor is he a hostage, as people have said, because he's an accomplice. He knows exactly what it is that he signed up for. He bit off more than he can chew, and now he can't swallow. And we're going to see that play out and watch him choke on the world stage again, except it won't take 15 votes this time, just the one.
To your point about watching him choke on the world stage, what do you think the chances are that in this moment of high drama that they, the Republicans, go too far? I've said more than once on this program, Newt Gingrich learned that the hard way some years ago, that you can go too far as Speaker of the House. What are the chances that in this moment the country reads what McCarthy and his ilk are doing as going too far? Particularly,
I think it's high.
particularly, Danielle, if they end up shutting down the government over these spending bills.
Oh, yes. Oh, no, I think that it's very high. I think that the Republican Party has gone too far already. I think they went too far when they overturned Roe v. Wade. I think they went too far when they tried to open up an impeachment inquiry without a vote. I think that they have overstepped multiple times, and shutting down the government over their circus is just yet again showing the American people that when they have power, they don't wield it. They weaponize it.
Mm-hmm. So the clock is ticking, of course, to fund the government and avoid this shutdown at the end of the month. If you were handicapping this, what are the chances you think that the government does in fact end up being shut down at the end of this month?
I want to say, honestly, that it's 50-50. I think that the Biden administration and Democrats are going to show once again, as well as the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate, who have already agreed upon legislation and are not willing to go down this burn it all down desire of the Freedom Caucus in the House. But I think it's 50-50. I don't think that Kevin McCarthy has a hold over anything or anyone. And that is just going to show itself. And I think that if the government shuts down, Kevin is out of a job, right? And the Republicans are out of rope.
As we sit for this conversation right now, all 98 House Democrats in the center-left New Democratic Coalition have signed a letter to McCarthy urging him, Danielle, to put the Senate's bipartisan appropriations bill up for a vote rather than trying to pass House Republicans' party-line bills. The point is, and they're pressing him on this, that at some point he's going to have to face reality. And at some point, that reality means he will have to work with Democrats on spending bills. The question is, who's he listening to and what message is going to resonate with him? But these, again, House Democrats are saying to him, at some point, you're going to have to face reality. You cannot do this, and that is to say, address these spending bills by ignoring Democrats. And even if the House shuts down, you're going to have to come back to this at some point. You will, in fact, have to engage Democrats. The question is when he gets that message. At the moment, he appears not to be getting it, but they're right. You cannot do this at some point without having to deal with Democrats.
Right. So how deep of a grave does he want to dig in order to figure out that he's going to eventually need to climb his way out? He has a 4-seat majority. 4 seats. He can lose 4 votes. That's it. Right? So I don't care how loud and ridiculous and dangerous the Freedom Caucus is. You cannot rule without Democratic support, period. So maybe he wants to wake up from his fever dream that he's been in, that the Freedom Caucus is going to take over America and we're all going to live under white evangelical Christian rule. But, I don't know. But I think that Kevin McCarthy is willing to do anything in order to hold on to that gavel, which is hollow.
Yeah. To your point right now, I'm glad you went there, Daniel, because I wanted to go there. But for all the talk about Kevin McCarthy and the 15 votes it took to get him the speakership and all the drama, and we laughed and had a good time kikiing it when he couldn't turn the corner on the votes. For all that, he is the Speaker of the House. And for all the talk from the Freedom Caucus, he's still the Speaker of the House. For all the threats, he's still the Speaker of the House. And to my mind, I don't see anybody else that could at this point take over. So they may not like McCarthy or the way he moves, and he's obviously having this tete-a-tete with him, it seems, on a daily basis. But I don't know what the alternative is. Does that make sense to you?
It does, because honestly, I don't know who else is going to put themselves out there in that way. And I don't know who else is able to be puppeteered in the way that Kevin McCarthy is, right? Another speaker will actually have their own agenda, their own ideology, and things that they want to push through. Kevin McCarthy is basically a jellyfish, right, without the stinger. You can squish him and mold him any which way that you want, right? So at the end of the day, they may, to your point, they may not like him, but they know that they can use him.
Yeah, but they got to work with him. I mean, because again, you have no other options. I mean, he's the only guy that at the moment appears willing to be caught in the middle. Put it your way. I love that. He's a jellyfish without a stinger. He's the only one that fits that bill right now. That's a great line. It's the line of the day. Unless I get something better, that is the line of the day. A jellyfish without a stinger. I still got 2.5 more hours to go, but that's the line of the day if nothing better comes up. Again, jellyfish without the stinger. Let me close on this. Speaking of the government shutdown, in these 90 seconds I have left before we shut down this conversation, how do you think Democrats are playing this, or put another way, should play this? I mean, again, if they're hurtling towards shutting down the government, and ultimately that would hurt them in the long run, why should Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats do anything other than let them shut down the government?
I think that the Democrats are doing exactly what they need to do, which is saying that we're willing and ready to sign the bipartisan Senate bill, right? We're willing and ready to keep the government funded. It's you all that can't get your stuff together. So I think that they need to continue to showcase the incompetency of the Republican Party, while also saying we're ready. We're at the table. We have all of our people and all of our votes, right? So it's you that needs to get your stuff together and continue to hammer that message to the American people.
Danielle Moody is a political analyst, writer, Democratic strategist, and host of the very popular program, #WokeAF Daily. Danielle, thanks for your insights today. I always appreciate it, and we will do it again somewhere down the road. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Thank you, Tavis.
Thank you, as always, for coming on and sharing your insights. When we come forward, a conversation about AI and its impact specifically on the financial sector with the CEO of Lendistry, Everett Sands, on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A report on the San Diego County taxpayer-funded immigration program is raising some concerns. The Immigration Rights Legal Defense Program provides legal assistance for immigrants at a cost of $5 million since May 2021. The Board of Supervisors was split on the report, with some saying that the county should be using taxpayer money to tackle the fentanyl and homelessness problem. Meantime, in New York City, Black Mayor Eric Adams continues to call on the federal government to do much more to help the city with the migrant crisis. The mayor spoke out again about the drastic budget cuts needed in order to make way for billions of dollars in spending on the migrant issue. And consumer sentiment is down slightly this month. The University of Michigan's early reading for September notes uncertainty over inflation and the economy. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
SIG alert has been issued in Fountain Valley as a stalled garbage truck remains in the right lane of the 405 North before Magnolia Street, while a 25-minute backup runs heavy from Highway 73. In Anaheim Hills on the 91 West before the 55 Costa Mesa Freeway interchange, watch for an accident on the right shoulder with heavy traffic from Ware Canyon Road, Yorba Linda Boulevard interchange. Also expect heavy traffic as you head through Angels Stadium as the Angels are versing the Tigers tonight at 6:38, adding to some heavy delays in this area.
There's a new sheriff in town.
All right, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and starting September 18th, I couldn't be more thrilled than invite you to join us for the launch of A More Perfect Union, weekdays right here on KBLA Talk 1580, weekdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific Time, that's 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. A More Perfect Union promises to deliver national news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. As KBLA Talk 1580's chief national political analyst, every day you can expect your daily dose of political news of consequence. If you're looking to be engaged, enlightened, and empowered to be a part of the solution to issues related to national politics, elections, identity, culture change, and social justice, A More Perfect Union was designed for you. This daily political affairs show will feature notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and ordinary people motivated to do their part to reach beyond today's divisions, to make sense out of news of the day, and offer us all a chance to build a more perfect union. Come on and join me.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Want to save big on custom faux wood blinds, shutters, cellular shades, and more? Shop Blindster today and save up to 50% over comparable blinds from brick and mortar stores. Get custom blinds at low prices and free shipping at Blindster.com.
Hi, this is LA City Councilman Kern Price, inviting you to the 28th Annual Central Avenue Jazz Fest on September the 23rd from 11 to 7 p.m. For nearly 3 decades, the Central Avenue Jazz Festival has paid homage to the legendary Central Avenue and its influence on jazz history. Jazz, blues, and Latin jazz will be featured on 3 stages of music. Co-headlining are Hubert Laws with special guest Eloise Laws and the Billy Childs Quartet featuring Sean Jones. The day includes plenty of food, merchants, and 4 pavilions focused on youth programming, art, health and wellness, and public resources. Parking is limited, so Metro and rideshare are recommended. Hubert Laws with special guests Eloise Laws and the Billy Childs Quartet featuring Sean Jones. The day includes plenty of food, merchants, and 4 pavilions focused on youth programming, art, health and wellness, and public resources. For more information, visit CentralAveJazzFest.com. CentralAveJazzFest.com. See you on the 23rd.
Dominique DePrima, KBLA Talk 1580. One of the most important details of running a business is managing cash flow. In fact, it's key to maintaining your company's health. Putting cash flow management before profits using dedicated software can help you drill down to the details that let you see the bigger picture. Having that clearer outlook makes for a stronger business. Whatever your business's financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
It is indeed. I'm glad to have you tuned into our program today in this very first hour. Our guest now is Everett Sands, CEO of Lendistry, who joins us for a conversation to unpack the impact of AI in the financial sector. As the finance world takes hold of AI, many questions arise about how AI will continue to influence an industry that manages your money, my money, and for that matter, money across the globe. Do we need to worry about the ethical implications of using AI in finance, such as bias in lending algorithms and the responsibility of financial institutions in ensuring fairness? What will be AI's impact on investment strategies? Will the impact of AI on job roles within the industry be impacted or affected? And how can professionals adapt to the changing landscape? There are all kinds of questions to be asked about AI and its impact in the financial sector. Here now again, the CEO of Lindustry, Everett Sands. Everett, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, Tavis. Great to talk to you. Hope all is well.
No, man. I hope things are well with you. Good to have you back on the program to talk about this. So let me just get your opening statement, as it were, and then we'll drill down on some of the questions I posed a moment ago about the ultimate impact that AI is going to have on the financial sector and the fundamental fairness that we hope won't be compromised by the advent of AI in our money. But talk to me.
Yeah, so I think the punchline for us is artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, ML, can be positives if used correctly for the things that all of us care about: transparency, speed to service and product, and also efficiency as it relates to community lending. And, obviously we can unpack all of that, but I think at the high level, that's the way we're looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Before we get into those three things, transparency, speed, and efficiency, let me ask whether or not you have any concerns, any worries about the ethical implications of using AI in finance.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime data, information, or processes, policy, et cetera, gets in the wrong hands, there's always going to be a problem. I don't think AI is any different than any of the other things that we've been fighting in terms of policy, but if the right people are helping to make the rules and making the decisions and deciding what goes into the data and absolutely the outcomes of the artificial intelligence, then I think it really benefits us. I mean, if you take that small business owner as an example, and she's running her business from 9 to 5, then she's thinking about her home and the other activities she has, kids, et cetera, from 5 to 9 at night, when is she actually going to apply for that loan? And when you start to think about that, and you start to think about feeding her education, information, where it's going to be delivered to, artificial intelligence can help you with stuff like that, right? And there's a certain amount of accuracy, quite frankly, that again, if used correctly, computers have that people don't. People are subjective. We're biased. We're prejudiced. We have all these other things going on. A lot of times we'll tell people this is the product you need before we even listen to them to hear what their story is. So computers don't do that. Computers say, put in the information, here's the output. And sometimes here's the output with pictures in case, you're more the visual learner, or here's the output with information in case you want to read about it. Here's 3 examples. And to the point I made earlier, she could then do that. She could keep looking at that stuff into the middle of the night if she wants to learn and study and educate herself. You just can't do that with humans because humans only have a certain amount of time that they can really interact with each other.
I asked earlier about, at least posed this question that I want to get into with you, as we will right now, about bias, potential bias in these lending algorithms and the responsibility of these institutions in ensuring fairness in their lending. And as that question sort of came out of my mouth, I kind of chuckled to myself because I can't imagine that the bias in lending could get any worse than what it,
that's what I was going to say.
what it already is. But this AI stuff is scary on a lot of different fronts. But in that regard, one crosses one's fingers and crosses one's toes. And hopes and believes that AI will only make it better, given that it can't get much worse. That's my read. But you're the money guy in this conversation, so talk to me.
Yeah, the example I always give Tavis is that if you put in data in everybody's from Texas, and all of a sudden you put in somebody from California, the data says that's a bad customer. It has nothing to do with the credit profile, has nothing to do with the information. It's just you put all of one thing in, the data just assumes that outlier is bad, right? And so I was laughing when you said it too. When you said bias and lending, I was like, well, what's Tavis thinking about FICO right now?
Exactly.
Right? Because it's already there, right? I mean, I'll tell you the way we're thinking about it. We're thinking about it saying, look, what it also could teach us is what is the percent of loss we might lose? So let's just make up the number. We're going to do lending in some neighborhood in Pennsylvania. Let's choose Philadelphia, where I used to go to school. Okay. So we're going to do lending in Philadelphia, and we expect a 10% loss rate. Well, artificial intelligence can start saying, okay, put the people in these programs, and these programs as credit enhancements or loan guarantees, and then all of a sudden your loss rate goes down. Well, if something like that happens, then all of a sudden, if our loss rate goes down, what do? We inject more money into that neighborhood, more money into that lending, because now we're performing better, right? And the truth is, no matter how smart we want our people to be and how educated they are, and we have really amazing people in the industry, they just can't do it as fast as a computer can do it and with the succinctness that a computer can do it, right? And that's really important. And then if you flip it to the other side, as we're trying to educate our underwriters and educate new team members, there's something called an SOP in SBA lending. Tavis, this thing is 1,200 pages. It's just literally impossible for a new team member to be able to consume that much. But a team member could type in a chat bot and say, okay, tell me this within the SOP. And next thing you know, they got all the information they need. They got all the reference points, and they have pictures. And that means they're going to be faster to execute to that customer that's waiting for that SBA loan.
Yeah. Before I get to your three things that you like about AI in finance, transparency, speed, and efficiency, two other questions that sort of push back on AI in finance and raises, I think, some of the concerns that some of us have. You mentioned your fine workforce at Lendistry, and I don't doubt that. The question is, what will the impact of AI be on job roles within the finance industry at places like Lendistry, and how can professionals adapt to the changing landscape courtesy of AI?
Yeah, and look, obviously the hot topic right now is what's going on with the auto industry and the entertainment industry. I think the difference for us is we're talking about adding more scale and access to capital versus losing jobs. And so the difference becomes, if you have more people to lend, there are more activities we need to do. And if we could take some of those people and we could effectively put them into different positions and at the same time increase lending to underserved communities, we're really productizing this. We're not sitting there saying, okay, let's cut all our costs and let's have this robot do the, make these things or do this product or anything like that. I got to be careful because I don't want to say a product and then people get pissed off at that industry, right? So, it's not that situation. I think what we're thinking about is how do we speak in different languages, right? Leveraging artificial intelligence. How do we integrate into more systems so that you don't have to provide all these documents and things like that? And I think that makes the job easier, lighter, but at the same time, we're expanding lending, which means that people are still there.
But to your point earlier, you referenced the auto workers strike. You mentioned the actors and writers strike here in Hollywood. These tech fears are showing up on these picket lines. This is being called, as you know, the summer of strikes. And it comes at a time when workers are increasingly afraid that these new technologies will threaten their jobs. To the extent that there aren't enough people of color already in the finance industry, as you know, I'm glad the industry is there, black-owned and black-operated and black-led, but there aren't enough people of color already in finance. And if AI is threatening people's jobs, we the last hired and the first fired. How can I be hopeful that the few people of color in finance or those who want to get in will get a chance to actually do that?
Yeah, look, you know how it goes on the show. Sometimes you go glass half empty, and I go glass half full. Right. So I think the goal here is for our people to start looking at the technology. For example, chatbot or ChatGPT, you could literally Google that, and you could have that at your disposal. They're more worried about kids actually using it on tests and writing essays and things like that. Sure. But the other side of that, though, is they're learning how to use it. They are becoming the workforce that is going to have the experience with it. And I think what we have to recognize is say, okay, I can become an expert at leveraging artificial intelligence, or I could become an expert at knowing how to utilize it so that I could do my job more efficiently. And I think that's what's needed in financial services.
Yep, I buy that argument. When we come forward, one of the questions I want to pose about the impact of AI in the finance sector, specifically on investment strategies. We'll get Everett Sands' response to that, and then jump straight ahead to his three things that he actually likes about AI in finance: transparency, speed, and efficiency. You're listening to Everett Sands on Tavis Smiley.
Unapologetically progressive, unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father.
And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like watering your lawn during the hottest time of the day and leaky faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on. K-Drip.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The City of Los Angeles Emergency Renters Assistance Program will start accepting applications at 8 a.m. on September 19th. The program will provide up to 6 months of rental arrears to low-income residential renters who are at risk of homelessness due to unpaid rent as a result of COVID-19 or other financial hardship. Learn more at housing.lacity.org. That's housing.lacity.org.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
All right, Everett Sands, what's your read on the way that AI will impact, if at all, investment strategies? Everett, can you hear me?
Yep, sorry about that. I was on mute. The thing that I find, Tavis, is that most people don't know what's in their mutual funds, 401ks, or retirement plans, right? Mm-hmm. They get this message, do you want low risk, medium risk, or high risk? First of all, I don't even know what that means, right? What is low risk, medium risk, and high risk? I mean, and I'm saying as the average consumer. We know because we talk about it frequently. I think what's going to happen with artificial intelligence is going to equal the playing field. It's going to now tell people this is what's inside of your retirement account, and do you want to move things around, or do you want me to do it for you? I think a lot of people are going to put it on auto, but the reason why I say it's going to equal the playing field is because these are the tools that people have today. They're called, money managers, market movers in Wall Street. And they literally have these tools that essentially say, okay, if this stock goes up, down, make this reaction. And a lot of times they're not sitting in front of it. It's not like the old school movies where you see this ticker going across their computer screen all day long. They've got automation and all that. Now, if you start to bring that to the general public, I think the general public is going to start saying, okay, I can become a more astute investor. I can, and the artificial intelligence will start to say, okay, these are the things that Tavis likes. These are the things he likes to invest in. These are the moves he's trying to make because he's trying to get his money at this age with this expected return.
So
I think that's the future.
So eventually I could be, as an investor, as well equipped as my broker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And that's what they tried to do and are trying to do at Robinhood, right? Mm-hmm. That was the whole premise behind E-Trade and Scotch Trade and all these things in the beginning was, okay, there's these really high, we're constantly evolving that, right? Mm-hmm. In the very beginning, it was this exclusive wealth-only club that had access to the stock market. Then it was, we're going to offer it to people, but it's going to be a really high cost. And then if you remember, the next big thing was trades are only $9.99. And then, and then trades became free, but there still is the actual transaction and the details of the transaction that the consumer could get smarter on and can manage their own money. I'm not saying that they should get rid of their wealth advisors or anything like that. Sure. I'm just saying that they could take a pot of money and they can manage it themselves, leveraging artificial intelligence.
All right. I've asked my 4 or 5 questions challenging AI in the finance sector. Let's now get to the 3 things that you like about AI in the finance sector. Start with transparency.
Well, I think that when people are trying to learn and trying to be educated, there are multiple forms of education. There's not a silver bullet. And I think artificial intelligence allows for various ways to learn and then that ability to learn at your own speed, at your own frequency, using your own medium. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really, really important when we think about education. And majority of what we need in finance is people to be educated correctly and in a matter that they want to be educated. So we could switch the language. We could show pictures. We can deliver, a whole essay about something if they really wanted it. And I think that's really, really important when we think about transparency. The flip side of that is when we talk about lending, mm-hmm. Here are the things you need to work on. And here are the 3 bullet points on how to work on them, right? So if it was credit score, we could really talk about here are the 5 parts of FICO and the way that it's oriented and how you can, best solve for those things.
All right, I got the transparency piece. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Everett Sands, we'll talk about the other 2 issues that he likes about AI in finance, speed and efficiency, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley with Everett Sands.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between 2 turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
Meet Bruce.
Hey there.
He's a busy soccer dad who's trying hard to learn the game.
Go for the end zone.
Whoops. Luckily, other things come easy, like banking with Chase. On a tip from his banker, he set up AutoSave in the Chase mobile app. So what are you saving for, Bruce?
Father-daughter soccer camp.
Smart bankers, convenient tools. One bank with the power of both. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
AutoSave requires a Chase checking and savings account. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
All right, Everett Sands, we've talked about transparency. Now we talk about speed, and then we'll get to efficiency. So these are the 3 things you like about AI in finance. Talk to me about speed.
So what we have learned from predatory lending and studying customers is that most of our community is turning towards predatory lending because they tell them that there is a chance they can get approved. There's hope that they could get approved. My thought process is, when are the good guys going to show up in a high quality way? Mm-hmm. When could we have an instant approval for an SBA loan? When could we have an instant approval for the responsible lending that's out there? And when you think about that, what we're really talking about is we need to have tools that can quickly, in milliseconds or seconds, analyze the tax returns, analyze the information provided, analyze the credit enhancement needed, and then feed that information back to either policymakers or to internally within lending, et cetera. But I think artificial intelligence is part of that solution. So that's my thought process on speed. We can get faster answers to customers leveraging machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Does speed mean that it gets it right? Just because you're faster, I'm thinking of John Wooden, the great UCLA coach back in the day, who had all these great sayings, and one of them was "Be quick, but not in a hurry." Be quick, but not in a hurry. So does speed necessarily mean efficiency, which we'll talk about here in just a second?
Yeah, I think, again, this is all about putting it in the right hands, right? I mean, if we go back, Tavis, who said the SBA guarantee should be 75%, right? And when did they say it? I would argue that was decades ago. Maybe it should be 78%, right? Maybe it should be 79%. I don't know what the number is, but here's what I would know. I know the data could be a great predictor of how to get things correct. And I think that's when you think about risk management, you think about lending to our community, we need to shake some things up. And I think it's okay because we're getting it wrong now. So this goes back to, kind of the bias and lending comment, right? If we already know it's not perfect and it's not working, let's take some risk to make some change and some adjustments so that we can get more capital flowing into these communities.
So finally, talk to me then about efficiency.
And I think efficiency is just, it's all about use of time. And use of time correctly. Where do we want people doing things? We don't want people reviewing tax returns. I mean, look, we got cars that can drive themselves. We got robots that do surgery. We don't need people to review tax returns and documents anymore. Let's let the technology do it. Let's let it filter the information according to what it needs to be, where it needs to go. And then let's have the people working on things like how to solve problems like getting more capital out to communities, how to educate communities, and how to really take these things to the next level, right? And grow our businesses, increase our employment, and do all the things we know we're capable of doing.
I'm going to close with this. I got about 90 seconds left. I saw you over the weekend, as you well know. We were in a room with over 1,000, about 1,250, over 1,000 black people crammed in this room at the Marriott Hotel at LAX here in Southern California. For a conversation that we're going to take around the country about contracting and how small black businesses can get in the contracting pipelines with government entities all across the country, and why not to be afraid of that. Very quickly here, I'm thinking about that audience that you and I both addressed together this past weekend, and whether or not you can see ways in which AI can help these small business owners get into the contracting space.
Absolutely. I mean, I think our artificial intelligence, we could be scanning their documents. We could be pushing it into all the various certifications, whether it be city, county, state, et cetera, which automatically could get them certified. 80% of this work could be done already, literally. And then they could turn around and say, okay, I now want to go to another state, and literally the information can be pushed over via an API process. I mean, there's so many ways to make this more efficient. Then the business owner could just focus on making the widgets, servicing the widgets, or whatever else they want to do.
Yep. For those who came out this past weekend in Southern California in LA for that conference, over 1,000 of you were there, and I hope and believe, based on what I've heard from many of you, that you were empowered greatly by being a part of that conversation for small black businesses about how to get into the contracting pipeline for those listening across the country. Hopefully we'll be bringing this program to a city near you sometime soon. For now, we thank Everett Sands, the CEO of Lendistry, for his insights on this program today. Everett, I'll see you soon, my friend. All the best to you.
Same to you, Tavis. Talk soon.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A report on the San Diego County taxpayer-funded immigration program is raising some concerns. The Immigration Rights Legal Defense Program provides legal assistance for immigrants at a cost of $5 million since May 2021. The Board of Supervisors was split on the report, with some saying that the county should be using taxpayer money to tackle the fentanyl and homelessness problem. Meantime, in New York City, Black Mayor Eric Adams continues to call on the federal government to do much more to help the city with the migrant crisis. The mayor spoke out again about the drastic budget cuts needed in order to make way for billions of dollars in spending on the migrant issue. And consumer sentiment is down slightly this month. The University of Michigan's early reading for September notes uncertainty over inflation and the economy. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
A SIG alert has been issued in Fountain